Today on the podcast, I have Maria Grove from Bliss This House. She is a professional organizer, and I'm so excited to talk with her about getting our houses organized so they can help us to host instead of a lot of times be the reason why we don't invite others over. So, Maria, thanks for being here today. I'm excited to have this conversation with you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
And I'd love if you could tell us a little bit about your background, like how you got into organizing. What was the thing that said, like, this is what I'm going to do? Because organizing is not for everybody, but we love people that are really good at it. So how did you get into it?
Yeah. So I'm going to start it right off the bat, and people are going to hate me and say I was always an organized person.
Okay.
Um, yeah, you really want that hero story when someone was not an organized person and they found the light. I'm sorry, I'm just not that person. I was always really organized, and I grew up in a very small home, a very small condo with my mother and my brother, and my job was to organize things. I was always in charge of the coat closet and the Tupperware cabinet and things like that. And my mother like just set me loose on the house, making it efficient because it was so small. My mother and I shared a bedroom.
Oh
And
my
so I
gosh.
was actually very good at making my bed every day and putting my shoes away and finding a way to store my clothes efficiently because we shared a closet. So it was very easy for me to be a very organized person out of necessity.
Yeah, that
And
is so,
so
oh, sorry, go ahead.
oh, no, it's fine. Excuse me. I became a professional organizer because I had been organizing for a number of people. I had been actually really doing moves for people. Friends had been asking me to help them coordinate their moves and then unpack them once they got to their new house and set up their homes, especially kitchens and closets once they got there. And so I just said, wow, this is a business. This is something that I'm really passionate about. This is something that I love to do. And so my business was born.
That's awesome. As military families, we move all the time. And I think we all have our own processes of this, like, how do I purge? How do I pack? A lot of times packers come for us, but there's still a lot of stuff you have to do before they come. And then how do I unpack? What is your like ideal like unpacking order?
Yeah, so it's best to have a day of box
Hmm.
so that you can, so if you, especially if you have kids, the box includes bedding for the first night, toiletries that you'll need, the few special toys that the kids will need, something that it makes it feel home. So one box that you can pull with you out of the car or first out of the moving van, so you know that's your number one box. And then I would say unpack the kitchen and the bedrooms first, because those are the two hearts of the homes. And then really leave the rest of the stuff to when you feel less overwhelmed. If you have your kitchen and your bedrooms set up, you have your home set up.
That's so true. I hadn't really thought of it before, but when you said like the kitchen and bedrooms are the heart of the home, like that is totally true. Like I had a reaction to that. Like, yes, it is. That totally makes sense. Um,
Well, if your kitchen and your bedrooms are made up, you can sleep, you can make dinner, you can eat dinner. It doesn't matter if your TV's on a stand and there aren't any places to sit and you're sitting on the floor. It doesn't matter if you're all standing around the kitchen island and there are no chairs yet. You still have food. It's where your cups are. Your kids have a sense of place. That's what's important when unpacking.
Yeah, that's really, really great advice. I do want to go back to something you said about kind of just how you grew up. And you grew up in a small home, and so you needed to be organized. Can you like think back or remember? I don't know if like hosting was a big part of your childhood or if you had people over a lot, but if you did, or even the few times maybe that you did, how do people make it work in a smaller space? Because that is another thing that, people don't think my house isn't big enough, it's not fancy enough, whatever. But I don't think that should ever hold you back from having people over and building a connection with somebody. Do you remember anything about that from your childhood?
Absolutely. My mother was the tremendous party thrower. We constantly had huge family parties. I have a very large family, and they would all pile in. I remember my mother was famous for her New Year's Day parties.
Hmm.
And so the Christmas tree would still be up and people would just kind of pile in. And I remember people sitting on the floor, sitting on the couches, standing in the little kitchen. It was just wall to wall people, but it was still a lovely event. And the tip that my mom always had was make it an open house so that it was not obvious. It wasn't a sit down dinner because she couldn't accommodate, you know, even more than 4 people to sit down and make a dinner. But if she said come from 12 to 6, people would cycle in and out, and then she'd get to see everybody and people would make their own schedules. And yes, it would be crowded at different points, but the flow would take care of itself.
That is such a good tip that I think most people are thinking, everybody has to be here at this one time. And that's not the case. You can spread it out like that. And I love what you said about how she was able to kind of see everybody. We have had parties in the past where afterwards we thought, oh my gosh, that was so lovely because I really felt like I got to spend quality time with all the people that came because it was spread out and it wasn't like, you're running around and you barely get to have a conversation with anybody. So I love if you do have a smaller space, that's a really great way to kind of host and do that. So you get to connect better and it's not overwhelming and everybody's not all there at the same time. So that's really awesome.
Yeah, open houses are just a wonderful solution to a small space. And I have a much bigger home now, and I carry on my mother's tradition of the New Year's Day party, and I still make it an open house. And I say, come anytime from 12 to 6, and people just cycle in and out. And every 20 minutes, someone knocks on my door, and that drives the dogs crazy, but it's such a wonderful, joyous occasion. Every few minutes, someone new arrives and it's so wonderful. And you get to greet them at the door and talk to them a little bit, welcome them into your home. I stagger the food. I make a plan for my food so that there's some hot dishes at noon and some hot dishes in the crock pot all throughout the day. And then I make some more hot dishes at about 3 o'clock, so I stagger the food a little bit so that everybody gets something fresh and warm. And it takes a little planning, but it's a long day, but it's a wonderful day.
Yeah. Well, and I love this thought process too of like new people that are coming in can probably interject like new energy into this party or this celebration. And it doesn't like get stale or there's no lull or dead space in hosting. It's like, oh, now there's
Absolutely.
new people to entertain and new people to talk to us and laugh with us or whatever. So that's a really, really great concept of doing it that way as well. What are some things, just like easy things? I think organizing can be very overwhelming for a lot of people. I can relate to you in that I've always been pretty organized. I am an Enneagram 3 through and through. Efficiency is my thing. Like if I can get it done in the fewest amount of steps possible, that's the best way to do it. But that's not everybody's cup of tea. So what are some simple things people can do today to kind of maybe help them feel a little bit more organized in order to host people?
So if you're having a party, I would say the best tip is to organize the spaces that the people will be in. I think people tend to say all or nothing. And I have most of my clients, and this is the thing that shocks people, most of my clients are perfectionists. They're not messy people. They're actually perfectionists who just don't know where to start. And because they don't know where to start, they don't start. And
Yeah.
so then their house gets messy. They just need a plan. And so with people organizing for a party, if you have a 50th wedding anniversary coming up or a graduation party, some people will start organizing their home 2 months ahead of time. That you don't need to do that. My tip is organize the spaces that people will be in. Nobody's going to be in your closet. You
Yeah.
don't need to organize your closet unless you want to take everybody on a tour of your home and show them your neatly organized closet, which I admit I have done because I'm a professional organizer and I'm all like, look at my closet. But most people are not going to be in your bedroom. Most people are not going to be in your kids' bedrooms. So organize the living room, the dining room, and the kitchen. And make sure that they work efficiently, make sure that they're clean, make sure that they're uncluttered so people can sit down, that there's good traffic patterns, but don't worry about the rest of the house. Don't kill yourself organizing and cleaning places that guests will never go.
Yeah, great tips. I say the same thing all the time when people are worried about cleaning. It's like, clean the space that you're going to be in and don't worry about the rest. I just did a talk with a MOPS group, my sister-in-law's MOPS group, and I made people think about the most recent party they've been to. And then I said, raise your hand if you remember how much dust was on that person's shelves. Raise your hand if you remember what the inside of their kitchen cabinets looked like, or if they made the bed. And like, nobody raised their hands, because we're not, when we're a guest at somebody's house, we're not looking at that stuff. We're excited to talk to them. We're excited to like be around other people, have been invited somewhere, not have to cook a meal ourselves. It's not like the end of the world if
Yeah,
somebody has some
nobody's
dust.
coming in. Nobody's coming in and saying, like, let me take a look at your medicine cabinet and see if it's organized by, alphabetical order. Let me take a look at your spice drawer. I think people get fixated on perfection when they think they're having a big party. I think the biggest, most important party that I threw was my brother and sister-in-law's engagement party. I threw them a big one here at the house. And we invited all the family, and it was catered. And I don't usually do that. It was a very fancy event. And I definitely cleaned and organized and, made sure that my house was, impeccable. But I didn't go into the nooks and crannies. Like, I didn't go into cabinets and closets and things like that, because I knew people weren't going to be in them. People were there to celebrate my brother and sister-in-law. They weren't there to judge me.
Right. Or inspect your home. Like, we're just not. That's not. We are so focused on our own stuff that we don't care about everybody else's stuff. So
That's
I think
true.
it's a good mindset shift. I think if that's something that's holding people back, is like, nobody cares and nobody's checking. So don't freak out about it. Kind of talking about the kitchen, I loved your blog post about having a kitchen capsule in a way, like being similar to like a wardrobe capsule. And I think we always think we need to have like so much stuff to actually host, and that's not really the case. Can you tell us a little bit more about like what a kitchen capsule is and how to create one, and how you can create one in order to like open your home up and invite others in?
Sure. Well, let's back up a little bit, because a lot of people, I find, don't know even what a wardrobe capsule is.
Sure.
And so I love a wardrobe capsule. And so I follow someone, her name is Courtney Carver, and she has a blog called Be More with Less. And she came up with the concept of Project 333. And the idea is that you pull 33 items from your closet, and that's what you wear for 3 months. And you get all of the jammies and workout gear that you want, but you get 33 items hanging in your closet, and that's what you're supposed to wear for 3 months. And then if you live in a temperate zone where the seasons change, you get to change your 33 items every 3 months. And so that's the idea of a capsule wardrobe. You have those 33 items to make up all of the outfits that you wear. And the idea is that you're wearing better quality, you're wearing the things that you love. It's simpler to get dressed in the morning. You don't have decision fatigue. You have less things, and it's a little bit about sustainability. So capsule wardrobes are something that I love. I love a good capsule wardrobe, and I think they're wonderful. And so I kind of riffed off the concept of a capsule wardrobe, and I thought, what about a capsule kitchen? I have a family of 4. And so in my kitchen, I have 8 plates. So we can eat 2 dinners before I absolutely have to run the dishwasher. And that goes again with the concept that I do the dishes every night. And that's a habit that everybody should have. That's a reset habit that people should have in their homes. They shouldn't let the dishes pile up. If you have more than 8 dishes and you let the piles pile up, that's going to be hours worth of work that you have to do. And then you're hating life because you have to do all these dishes. So I have two sets of dishes, so we can have two dinners before I have to run the dishwasher. So I run the dishwasher every other day. I have enough glasses for my husband and I to have one glass of wine. And then, so we have 4 wine glasses. And then I have a set downstairs in the basement for when people come over, but I don't pull those out. I don't have them taking up valuable space in my kitchen cabinets because we're 2 people. My 18-year-old and my 14-year-old aren't having wine, so they don't need to have wine glasses affiliated with them. So we have less in our kitchen, and it makes our kitchen cabinets breathable, really. There's less things in our kitchen cabinets. And it's just, I'm not a minimalist. I think people will be listening to this and going, this lady's crazy. But I'm not a minimalist. I like stuff. I have decor. I love decor. I like things. I just think that if you have less, especially in the kitchen, it's easier to take care of. And so you do the dishes more frequently. That means you have less to do. You don't have so much on the kitchen counters, like your blender or your coffee pot. I mean, I have my coffee pot on the kitchen counter because I drink coffee, like I mainline it. But but I don't have a lot on my kitchen counters, but my kitchen counters are easier to clean because I'm not picking up so much stuff off my kitchen counters to clean them. So if you don't use it every day, it doesn't deserve that space, that valuable space on your kitchen counters. If you use it every week, it can go underneath and in storage, in the cabinets. So it's about having less and being more with that.
Yeah, that is a really great concept. I'm definitely going to look into this Project 333 because it sounds like promising.
Project 333 really changed my life. And what's great about it is, there's other capsule wardrobes that you can buy, like a downloadable book, and they tell you, like they give you, like, it's like the stay-at-home mom wardrobe or the teacher wardrobe or the French minimalist wardrobe, kind of thing. And it gives you all gives you all the links of where you can buy it, and then you buy your wardrobe. But the Project 333, it comes from your wardrobe. So her idea is that you don't buy anything. It's very eco-friendly. You pick the pieces that you love, that fit on you, and that suit you color-wise, fit-wise, and then you make 75, 100 outfits out of them.
Yeah, it's great. Just talking about like this capsule idea and like having less, I think because we do move so much within the military, I love it not only for just like the adventure of it and getting to experience new places and stuff, but I love purging and throwing things out. Like if somebody asked me my hobby or my favorite pastime, I might say throwing things away. But it gives you that
I love that about you.
Yeah. Well, it gives you that chance to like, do I really use this? And do I need to keep it and take it to the next place? And I'm not saying I'm the best at it, but I have definitely done this in my kitchen quite a bit. And things like multiple potato peelers, like why there's one that I like that I use, like, and I get rid of the rest, like, just things like that. I did this with towels because I realized we had a crazy amount of like bath towels, and like there are 4 of us. We need 4 towels. We'll use them like once or twice and then we'll wash them. Like, why do we have so many towels? And maybe like 2 extra for guests. And my husband kind of freaked out at first. He's like, why are we getting rid of all of these towels? And he has not complained since because we don't use all of them. It's craziness. Yeah. So just like paring down, I think, is so essential. And when you do have to move all the time, it's like, why am I going to pack all this stuff up? Like, get rid of it all.
Yeah, I would say, there are no magic numbers when
Sure.
it comes to things that you should own. People always ask me that, what's the magic number of towels I should own? What's the number I should own of glasses? And I would say there are guidelines, like guide rails for how you should live your life. And I think times 2 is a good number. So if you're 4 people, you should have 8 of that item. If you're 3 people, you should have 6 of that item. So if you're 1 person, you should have 2 of that item. So that can go for towels, wine glasses, plates, sweaters. And really try to see if you can live with less. And living with less gets you creative, and it also makes you, so the blog is interesting. I hope you link the blog
I will, for
in the
sure.
show notes, because I talk about how I have the 8 plates. I have my wedding plates that I pull out when my mother-in-law comes to town, and special holidays. And then any more than that, I don't want to serve real food. If there are more people than I have plates for, that's a paper plate. And people know that that's okay. When I have really big parties, sometimes I'll go and get like maybe fancier paper plates at the paper goods store or something like that, like a themed paper plate. But I'm not washing all those dishes for all those people who come to my house. I'm throwing those away as I wander around the house and clean up after people. I'm trying to make it as easy as possible for myself. So it's about simplicity.
Yeah, for sure. Something else I saw on your blog that I think you're really good at is this idea of like routines. Is there like a common daily routine? I think makes sense in order to like just have you ready. So if somebody were to drop by, or you just, you made a bigger dinner that night and you say, hey, come on over. Like, what is the routine that's going to make sure you're willing to open your home up?
Yeah. So the first step of a successful routine is decluttering and organizing your home. That's the big first step. You have to get it to a place where you feel comfortable. And then routines bring you back to 0. And what it is so you can do any number of routines that you feel comfortable with. You can do a 5-minute tidy after dinner every night or before dinner. My husband comes home at 6:30 every night. So about 6 o'clock, I start making dinner. And I also do a quick 5-minute tidy. My kids are 18 and 14. They don't have their toys out anymore or things like that, but I'm still in the habit of just cleaning up the house before he comes home. You know, so I used to leave it a mess so he would know what I was dealing with. Um, but now I get into the habit of just tidying up and setting the table and doing those things. So a 5-minute tidy gets you back to 0. You plump the pillows and you fold the blanket and you clean up the toys. That's a 5-minute tidy. And you can get the kids involved in it too. You can make it a game. Kids, I'm going to set the timer. You've got 5 minutes to clean up your toys. Who can do it first? That's a fun game. After dinner, I do the dishes. I wipe the counters, and I usually address the floors. I have 2 teenagers and 2 dogs, so there's a lot of hair. And so in order to keep on top of that, I either Swift or vacuum. And so I do those 3 things. And usually after I've done the dishes, at the end of the night before I go to bed, there's another round of dishes because, as I've mentioned, I have teenagers who don't know where the dishwasher is, even though it's right next to the sink. They're dishes that they've like had a bowl of cereal or ice cream is right next to the dishwasher.
Yeah.
And they don't seem to know how to put it in the dishwasher. So I do a quick round just to clean up, because I like to clean up the kitchen and have it nice and clean, because I don't want to wake up to a job. I don't want to wake up to a task. My mornings are busy enough, getting everyone to school, letting the dogs out, feeding all the pets, getting my day started. Why would I want to do dishes in the morning? So there are so many wonderful routines that you can start. And I have a workbook that I can offer your listeners. If they're interested, they can get in touch with me, and I can send them my free workbook. And it walks them through how to identify what tasks and routines they want to get started, and then how to get started with them. And basically it's just doing them a week at a time and adding and being consistent and repeating. And so the idea is that you do the dishes and then you do the dishes again for another week, but you add something. And then you do the dishes and you clean the countertops and then you add meal planning. And then you do the dishes and you clean the countertops and you add meal planning and then you add the floor cleaning. So, but it could be for you, it could be journaling and doing a 5-minute tidy and doing a little bit of yoga in the morning. It really is all about what routines you want to get started and what's personal to you.
I love that idea of, because it could seem overwhelming, but that slow process of like just one thing a week, be consistent, and then adding it in. I am horrible about consistency in so many aspects of my life. So I really like that concept of just adding one thing a week, that it can be really helpful in so many different aspects of our lives, besides just kind of like keeping our house up to speed. One other thing I want to touch on, because I was like high-fiving you virtually when I read this blog post, when you were talking about collections of things. And like you said before, like you're not a minimalist, you like things. And I think people tend to think, if I have an organized home, then I don't have anything, or I have to get rid of everything. And that's not your thought process. And something that I always say when talking about decorating for a party is to have one focal point, because it just makes such a bigger impact. So I think you do a similar thing when it comes to collections. So how do you accomplish that same like big impact with collections of things?
Oh, wow. You really dug deep into my blog. I'm very impressed.
Thanks.
Yeah, I love collections. I'm a collector. I love going to antique stores. I have certain collections of things that I love to dig into. And I just love displaying them. But there are tips when it comes to displaying collections, and there are 2 tips. And so you have to pick one. One is the rule of 3, which is you can display 3 of one item and it makes a nice little vignette. So you put something on a coffee table and you put 3 items out and it looks beautiful, it looks balanced, everything looks great. Or display your collection all together and put it on a like your dining room table. If you don't use your dining room table every day, I have a collection of Asian blue and white ginger jars, and I have the collection on my dining room table right now. Now, it makes an impact because they're all together. If I had one jar in the living room, one jar in the kitchen, one jar in the dining room, it would actually look very cluttered and not very impactful. But because they're all together, the collection looks impactful and beautiful. So it's about displaying them all together or displaying a very small piece of your collection in a rule of 3.
Love it. I could not have said that better myself. I think people, when it comes to decorating parties, end up spreading stuff out so much, and it like, you don't really pick up on the theme. Or in my head, I'm like, gosh, that took a lot of work, because you had to walk all over your house to put all these things out and tape it here and whatever. And I'm like, if you just put it all together in one spot, like one place to clean up, one place to set up, and it makes such a bigger impact. So I love that we can take that concept and do it with things we love, like collections of things. We can do it for party planning. We can do it for lots of different things. So I appreciate your insight into that. Before we move on to our kind of fun last call questions, can you remind everybody where they can find out more about you, get that workbook that you're talking about, and we'll make sure there's links to all of it in the show notes. So just remind us where we can go.
Wonderful. Yeah, thank you so much for asking. You can visit my website and blog, which is www.blissthishouseblogs.com. So it has all my business information, and then it has my blog on there, and you can just read through. It has the kitchen capsule and the collection blog and all sorts of other things. And then most of the information, most of the time I'm on Instagram, and I'm at Bliss This House _CT. So if you DM me there, I can send you a workbook and all sorts of goodies that way.
Awesome. And you do virtual organizing too, right? So we don't have to be
I do, yes.
where you are.
I'm in Connecticut, but I do virtual organizing. We can get on a computer and do a Zoom call, and you can put me in your kitchen or your closet or your garage, and we just work through the steps, and it's like having a best friend.
That's awesome. That's so helpful. And I know people will get a lot of value out of it. So we'll make sure we put the links to all that in the show notes. Okay, let's talk
Thank you.
some fun party questions. What is the best party that you've ever hosted?
I would say the best party I ever hosted was my husband and I posted a 10-year anniversary. We renewed our vows in Las Vegas and had the wedding that he wanted originally, which was a Vegas wedding where Elvis walked me down the aisle. And then we had a big party in our suite in the Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas with all of our friends and family who had made the trip to celebrate our vow renewal. It was a crazy day, and it was wonderful. And we're coming up on our 20th anniversary next year. We are not renewing our vows again with Elvis. We'll probably do something a lot more staid. But it was a wonderful party. It was probably better than the original wedding.
That's the best. It sounds super memorable. So that's really fun. I
It
actually
was.
just got back from a weekend in Vegas with some friends. So that's just kind of
It
fun.
was my first trip ever to Vegas, and I got walked down the aisle by Elvis, and it was so crazy. And the craziest thing about this wedding was the wedding right before our wedding. Bon Jovi walked the bride down the aisle, and we actually met him because we were waiting for our turn at the chapel.
That is so
Because he
cool.
was doing a show in Vegas that night, and he walked the bride down the aisle. And so we have pictures with Bon Jovi at our vow renewal. We
That's
were on
amazing.
like the national news. It was the craziest thing. Like we couldn't have planned this.
That is so fun. What memories. Oh, I love how that's what I love about you know, getting people together is like there are just so many memories. That's like another level of memories, but even if you just have something in your home, there's something bound to be memorable about it. So, okay, what is the best community that you've ever been a part of? What has made it so great?
I would say after my mother, the wonderful hostess, passed away in 2012, and I joined the Relay for Life community, which is an organization that celebrates survivors and remembers people who passed away from cancer. And it's a 24-hour walking event to raise funds for the American Cancer Society. And I've eventually became the chair of the event in my community. And I was the chair for 5 years. And it was a tremendous community. I met so many amazing people who were survivors, people who were there to honor their loved ones who had been lost. It was fun camping outside every year, walking for 24 hours. It was hard. I have stories about how we got rained out one year. I thought we were gonna get washed out and die. But we survived. It was just crazy. But it was years of love and fun, and it was a wonderful experience. And I'm still very friendly with a lot of the people that I met during those times. So doing good and being good in that community.
That's awesome. Such a special group of people. So that's amazing. Okay, last here, what is your best party hosting tip?
My best party hosting tip is enjoy yourself. I would say so many hosts get so wrapped up in whether the food is hot, whether the guests are having fun, whether the place looks perfect, and I'm an organizer and I want your place to look perfect, but I also know that you're there to enjoy yourself, and the people that you have invited are there to enjoy you. And so I think, just step back, take your glass of wine or your glass of water, step back and take a moment and look at all the people who've come to celebrate you and love you, who've come to your home, and just have a wonderful time and laugh and hug and enjoy them.
That's great advice and such a uplifting place to end. So, Maria, I thank you so much for being here. I know we're going to get a ton of value out of what you talked about today, and we're all going to be itching to like pare down our kitchens or our closets or something after this. So, thank you.
Thank you so much.